Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli wa nusallimu ala rasulihil kareem ma ba'd. We're just waiting for Mufti Zaid, but I'm just going to share the screen, inshallah. Just bear with me one moment. Um, I'm just going to share this. Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. As soon as Mufti Zaid is in the meeting, inshallah, I'll let him take over. I have informed him that I'll be just leading for a little while. Just to recap what we covered last week. So we come to Makkah. I want you to show you Makkah. That's Makkah right there. You can see Masjid al-Haram right there's the Kaaba, that's a little bit there inside the middle. We do our Umrah, we complete our Umrah, we do Tawaf and then Sa'i. Um, Sa'i is between Safa and Marwa. We cut our hair and we leave the state of Ihram, and we have completed our Umrah. We are now just relaxing in Makkah, doing maybe a Tawaf a day or something like that until the days of Hajj come. And many of you, I don't know if this could be everyone. If it's not you, then don't worry. If you've got non-shifting, you'll stay in Makkah. Shifting means you'll go to Aziziyah. So you're going to stay here. Aziziyah is a good place to stay. Why? Because you're just very close to Makkah if you need to go back, uh, preparing in the few days that are before Hajj. And also when the days of Hajj start, now you're in the main locality where everything is happening. So you'll have a hotel. I remember our hotel, I think is right here. Last year we had Holiday Inn, which is just around here somewhere. It's somewhere there, right? I think that's the Holiday Inn hotel. But in any case, you'll have a hotel somewhere here, right? So that's Azizia. So now, when the days of Hajj come, so like 8th of Dhul Hijjah, the night time. So basically, you are actually supposed to go to Mina, which is the Mina tents are here. You are supposed to go or after Fajr, after sunrise rather, or rather, you're supposed to basically pray Fajr in Masjid al-Haram, and then after sunrise you head to Mina. But like I said, they'll take you from nighttime. A bus will come from your hotel. It will take you all the way to the tent. It will actually take you to your actual tent. It will park up right outside your tent, but it will take you a long time for it to get there. It might end up being like a 3-hour drive, even though it's so close. It'll end up being so long, right? So you're going to be in Mina, and you'll be in Mina for the full day. I know Mufti Zaid is there. I'm just going to promote him to panelist, so that he can interrupt anytime he wishes, inshallah, as well. So you're going to be in Mina for the full day of the 8th, essentially, and the full night of the 9th, because remember, in Islamic dates, the night time after Maghrib, the 9th kicks in or automatically. So the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, the night time of 9th of Dhul Hijjah, you'll still be in Mina. You'll pray the next day, you'll pray basically your Fajr here as well of the 9th. So you'll have prayed essentially now 5 salahs, if not 6 salahs, because the Fajr of the night before as well, like I said, they take you from nighttime. So you might end up praying your Fajr as well in Mina from the night before. So you'll pray definitely your Fajr of the 9th, you will pray here. And then after that, buses will start to arrive. Some really brave people will try to walk it, and I'm sure they'll do really well, but they will be absolutely shattered. It's a 3-hour walk. Like I said, can you see the distance between Mina and Arafat? Here is Mina, there's Arafat. So it's a nice long 3-hour walk in the soaring heat, because you're going to have to go after sunrise. If you take the buses, it's nice and easy. You can see it's already called Bus Road. You'll be there in about 20 minutes. You'll arrive in Arafat. You will spend the day in Arafat, essentially. The real wukuf of Arafah begins after Zawal, i.e. you need a portion of that for your Hajj to be done. That's a rukn. That's a pillar of Hajj. A fard action of Hajj is that you need to spend a portion of the day in Arafat. And then in Arafat, you will wait until Maghrib is done. You will not pray Maghrib in Arafat. Rather, you must wait until after Maghrib. After Maghrib, now buses will start to come again. Some people will take the walk. It's not that long of a walk, but I would just say take the buses. There'll be a rush. Be patient. You may end up going about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night to Muzdalifah, but you will get there, inshallah. Be patient. They will take you, inshallah, in the bus. You will end up in Muzdalifah. Muzdalifah is an open field. I don't know if they sometimes show like a mini picture. But Muzdalifah, that doesn't do justice. That's probably, I would say, a good picture of Muzdalifah, that right there. Or, that's a really fancy area of Muzdalifah. You won't have that, I promise you. But it'll be very, very brilliant. It'll be a lovely night. Remember, Arafat is a moment when you'll make lots of du'as during the day. Now, when you come to Muzdalifah, it'll be nighttime. The real wukuf of Muzdalifah, now we are, by the way, on the we are on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. We spent the night of the 9th, we were still in the Mina. And then the daytime of 9th is called Yawm Arafah for a reason, because you're in Arafat. When nighttime kicks in, 10th of Dhul Hijjah, this is the most busiest day. You're going to be everywhere on this day, essentially. Um, when you go to Muzdalifah at night, this is going to be the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. You will be here. You will spend the night here. You will pray your Fajr here. After Fajr is a very important time. You must start making du'as. You'll see buses lining up, right? But don't focus on the buses. The buses are just there to take you to Mina if you want, right? For those who are elderly, they might need a bus. As we'll come to in today's course, you will stay between Fajr and just before sunrise, or that period, just before sunrise, you'll start to leave Muzdalifah. Either you leave in a bus, or as we'll come to today, today is the day wherein you will have the busiest Eid of your entire life. This Eid will be the busiest Eid of your entire life, and it's going to be the best Eid because of that very reason. So you will now head off from Muzdalifah just before sunrise, and now you will head to the Jamarat. As you can see, Jamarat is just on the edge of Mina. So you will, if you decide to walk it, which is what we did, and Muftiz is going to explain this whole process just now, you'll actually walk past your tents. So you'll actually walk past this whole area here, and here's, as I was going past, you might have even seen a picture of some of the tents there. So as you're walking past, you might even walk past your actual tent. You'll walk past, you'll keep going, keep going. It's a 2-hour walk, and it will be a bit hot because you just set off just before sunrise. So as you're walking, sunrise will happen, and you'll get to about 9 o'clock by the time you get here. You will pent only the big shaitan, and this is essentially where we are. So I'm going to leave this here as well. I'm going to stay on this screen. So whenever Mufti Zaid comes to this bit, I might ask to take over, and I might explain from this actual screen. But Mufti Zaid, you're free to inshallah take over. I'm just going to allow you to share your screen, which should be allowed in the next second. Yeah, you're free to share the screen. Mufti Zaid, Bismillah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. So I think we had reached this point anyway where we were in Muzdalifah and then we stay in Muzdalifah. So the wukuf of Muzdalifah, which is wajib, is to basically remain in Muzdalifah even for a moment. But the person should try his best or her best to stay in Muzdalifah till just about sunrise. And what they say, what do they mean by just before sunrise? So what the scholars mention is basically the amount of time you can perform 2 rakat salah. So the 2 rakat salah duration, it's mustahab to stay in, it's best to stay in Muzdalifah for the wukuf of Muzdalifah from Fajr, let's say, all the way until just before sunrise, means just about, you can pray 2 rakats left, and if you were to pray those 2 rakats, then sunrise would happen. So I think we've covered it till there in the last session. And one more thing, we said that in Muzdalifah, a person normally collects pebbles, stones, so they can use it in the following day for pelting. So the scholars also mention that it's mustahab to even wash the stones that you collect. So the 49 pebbles or the 70 that you collect, and like we said, collect a little bit extra. And they should be the size of a chickpea or the size of a date seed. So the khajur seed or the chickpea size, basically. So that much should be collected from Muzdalifah, but even then you can collect it from anywhere. You can even collect it when you're going from here to Mina. You can collect it. You can even use the ones that are there on the floor. When you're pelting, there'll be quite a few on the floor. So you can even pick it up from there. But that will be makruh. Makruh tanzihi, dislike. So you rather pick it up from Muzdalifah, Arafah, anywhere else really. But people tend to pick it up in Muzdalifah because they're very accessible. You can find them everywhere. And yes, so that day is done. So now we're on. So that was the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. And we spent the night in Muzdalifah. So now it's the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. So the busiest day where you've got so many activities to do and so much to do. So it's known as Yawmun Nahr, the day of Nahr, the day of slaughter, the day of sacrifice. And the 10th of Dhul Hijjah is when the rest of the world are doing their Eid. But obviously the people in Hajj, they're going to have more energetic or more active Eid of theirs, where they're worshipping Allah Ta'ala, which in essence, that's the main thing to do anyway. So a person will be doing a lot of walking, and then this will carry on the day of Qurbani as well, 11th of Dhul Hijjah, and the 12th of Dhul Hijjah will be the final day of Hajj for most people. So this is the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, which is the day of Eid. So a person on this day, the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, he'll have to do a few things. So one of the first things he needs to do, or she needs to do on the 10th of the Hijjah, is depart from Muzdalifah just before sunrise, like we said, and they'll go to pelt the jamarat, the pillars, the shayateen, you could say, and you'll go to pelt them, but not all three. You're just going to pelt one of them, the biggest one. And that's the first thing. Then what will happen is you'll perform qurbani. Then after that, the shaving of the hair, trimming as well for women or men. And finally, tawaf ziyarah, which is a fard action of Hajj. So those are the 4 actions that will take place, and that's basically the main day done. So we'll go through this main day quite in detail, inshallah. So the first thing is a person's going to pelt. He's going to pelt the jamarat. That's why he's leaving Muzdalifah, or she's leaving Muzdalifah. So a person's not going to pelt the jamarat before sunrise. Why not before sunrise? Because the wukuf of Muzdalifah happens from Fajr all the way till sunrise time, just before sunrise. So she's not going to get a chance to pelt anyway. So that time is makruh. If a person were to do it, it's basically makruh before sunrise. And a person can leave before sunrise as well, especially if they fear large crowds and if they're weak or old, then those people can leave Muzdalifah earlier as well. So they might reach the Jamarat and they might pelt. But a person to pelt before sunrise is makruh. So even if you reach there before sunrise, don't pelt just yet. And then after sunrise, till Zawal time, till Dhahar time, you could say, is the Sunnah time to pelt. So after sunrise till Zawal time. So if someone reaches there before sunrise, then don't pelt, just in case someone does. Pelt only after sunrise, which is the Sunnah time, and all the way till Zawal time. That's the best time. And after Zawal till sunset, till Maghrib, that's the permissible time to pelt. So if someone does it at that time, it's completely fine. It's the permissible time, but not the best time. The best time was from sunrise till Zawal. And then finally, after sunset till Fajr of the next day, which is going to be the 11th of Dhul Hijjah, that's going to be makruh time. But anyway, the best time that we're going to most probably pelt anyway is after sunrise till Zawal time, inshallah. Thereafter, so the way to do it is we'll get back to Mina. So we're going to go past Mina. Some people might go on the bus, and then when they get to the tents, they might just come off the bus because it's taking too long, and then they might want to walk it from there. So that's possible as well. So we
Please,
reach Mina.
the bus is
Yeah.
just if I can just 1 second share the screen again. Just bear with me 1 moment. The buses will definitely not take you all the way to the Jamarat. They'll drop you off in Mina. I mean, just to show you again, like they'll drop you off in, if you're gonna take the buses are what, they're not gonna park up like right outside the Jamarat, like here's jump out and go pelt it. They're gonna drop you off somewhere here. So you're gonna basically take a bus, like, and this is especially for those who have like elderly mothers, you've got elderly, or you've got physically unable family members, weak family members. This is very important that if they are weak, don't insist on walking. Look, walking is convenient. I won't lie. It's a long 2-hour walk, but I'll explain the benefit between why this walk you should do. All so far, I've been saying maybe walking might not be ideal, but this one I would say it's not bad. We did it as well. It's tiring. It's a 2-hour walk, but the benefit of it is that you can quickly get your pelting done and get back to your hotel in Azizia. As in, you don't need to head straight to Mina. You can actually go to your hotel, back to Azizia for a little while, freshen up. You can actually have a little bit of a shower if you want to, but keep your ihram on because you need to wait for confirmation of your qurbani, or do the qurbani yourself, which I highly doubt any of you will be doing. If you are, I don't want to say highly doubt, some will actually do the qurbani themselves. So if you're going to do it, go do it. But if you're not, then obviously you'll be waiting for the qurbani. But in any case, the buses will drop you off to Mina. From Muzdalifah, they'll drop you off to Mina, and then you'll have to walk from Mina to the Jamarat, which is another is a decent amount of walk anyway. It's going to be another 1 hour walkish approx. So, the buses will probably end up being 2 hours as well. But it's just that they'll save you from walking from Muzdalifah to Mina. They'll just drive you there, but this will be so much traffic. It will be probably about 1 hour to get there, whereas the walk will probably just be 1 hour as well. So it's up to you. You could just walk it and, skip the inconvenience of having to jump on a bus and wait all the way until Mina and then walk it to Jamarat. But yeah, Mufti, that's just some practical stuff if you want to take over again. Sorry.
Yeah, so if a person wants to stop in their tent, obviously they'll be going past it, so that's completely fine. So in essence, we're going to the Jamarat. So we'll go to the Jamarat and everyone will be there and there'll be large crowds. So we'll make sure that we look after ourselves, look after our young ones, look after the family as well. And we'll try to take it everything slowly and we won't panic at all. And like we mentioned as well, that obviously everyone will be going after sunrise and till Zawal time, and everyone will want to do it in that Sunnah time, and that will be the busiest time. So if you feel for yourself or your family that it'll be best for us to go in the permissible time, which is after Zawal till Maghrib time, so that might be a good and wise thing to do as well, because Tawaf Ziyarah, will explain when it comes to Tawaf Ziyarah, but it doesn't have to be done on this day. And I know a few people as well, they do tawaf, they just do not do tawaf ziyarah on this day because it gets too much and it's too busy. So they'll always do it the following day or the day after. So that might be a good or wise option. So just look at the crowds, look at the number of crowds. And if you think after sunrise till Zawal time, which is the best time, is just not suitable because there's too many people and there's a chance of, let's say, harming yourself or whatever. So then you can go, let's say, and it's permissible as well, that if a person goes after Zawal time till Maghrib time, anytime, maybe after Asr or something, he decides to go, then that would be suitable as well. That would be completely fine. So we'll take everything slowly. We're not going to panic. Eventually, we'll have reached the pillars. And basically, that's the direction where everyone will be going. It will be hot. People will have umbrellas as well to avoid the heat. And like this, we'll be going and we'll have the pebbles, we'll have them safe with us, and we'll try to keep hydrated as much as possible as well on the way. And we'll eventually reach the Jamarat, let's say. So once we've reached the Jamarat, there might be large crowds. So you might not want to go directly where everyone's going. You might want to go a little bit around. So go to the pillar from the other side.
Carry on, Mufti, carry on. Don't worry. I'm just the Jamarat.
Yeah, so you might want to go to from the other side of the Jamarat. So everyone's going on one side, but you might want to go from the back of the Jamarat where there might not be so many people as well. So on Mufti Muad's screen, for example, so if you go on one, obviously you will be inside. But basically, if you're going from one side, you'll see some people as well in a clever manner. They'll go on the other side, so from behind the Jamarat, and they'll pelt from there as well. So that might be a good option, a wise option as well, so where there's not that much crowd. But take it easily, take it very slowly as well.
Just to show you guys,
and then eventually,
this is the small one, this is the medium one, and this is the big shaitan. So we just need to hit that one. So basically, when you come through, you'll actually pass through three. You'll see no one around this one. You'll see no one around this one today, but you'll see everyone kind of around this one, depending on which level you go on. But you'll be coming through this kind of entrance here, and there'll be like 3 tunnels that you'll go through, and it's quite that's why the walk is kind of lovely, because those tunnels will be booming with like talbiyah and stuff, which obviously, I know we've said in the course that you shouldn't do it all together in like a thing, but it is a sight to behold, no doubt. Sorry, Mufti Zaid, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll basically come to this one pillar. So on this day, the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, we'll just be pelting this one, Jamra Aqaba, the biggest pillar. So we'll go there and we'll get one pebble at a time, one stone at a time, and we'll throw it at the pillar, and we'll be saying Bismillahi Allahu Akbar, basically, which is sunnah to say when throwing the stone. So that's what we'll do. So we'll get one stone and we'll say that and we'll basically throw it. And like that, the second one, and like that, the next one. And it's sunnah to throw with the right hand, unless obviously someone's got an excuse or something. But otherwise, try your best to throw it with the right hand. And finally, as well, something important that obviously you might be a bit further away. But if you're throwing it, then it doesn't need to hit the actual pillar. It just needs to go in that boundary which you'll see around the pillar. So if it falls inside there, then it's fine. That's completely fine. So the area around it, yeah? So it doesn't need to hit the pillar itself, but if it falls within the area around it, that's completely fine. And the talbiyah now will stop. So talbiyah, everyone's reciting labbaik, Allahumma labbaik, but this will now stop upon pelting the first pillar the first time. And we'll do this, obviously, we'll pelt the pillar 7 times, as we know. And we're not going to stand for dua because we're only pelting one pillar. We'll pelt it with 7 pebbles, saying Bismillahi Allahu Akbar, throwing each stone. And that's it, basically. And there'll be no dua after pelting. And then we can go back to Mina, where we'll perform our qurbani, or we'll try to understand, or we'll try to find out, verify if our qurbani has been done or not.
Just Mufti Zaid saying we'll go back to Mina. It's up to you. I'll be honest with you. what you'll notice a lot of Hujjaj doing, and there's nothing wrong with this, and I would probably recommend it if it's okay with you. Obviously, if you're like super strict and you feel like you're gonna contrary, it's not really, it's against what's better to do, but it's not like you're leaving out a big sunnah. But one thing you can do is pelt the big shaitan, right? And then just go down this area here. Everyone will do that. And then you come to this Al-Baik stop here, and then you'll see this Sidki Street. You'll see everyone rushing down there. And then from there, you go to your hotel in Azizia. And which is why you've, by the way, done the shifting. That's the benefit of shifting. You can go to your hotel now on the 10th, freshen up, because you've now got to go to Makkah for Tawaf al-Ziyarah if you're planning to do it on the same day, which would be the Sunnah. Obviously, if you've got elderly people with you, like Mufti Zaid said, be careful. You might want to delay the Jamarah. You might want to do it a bit after Dhuhr if you wish. And you don't need to do Tawaf al-Ziyarah on the same day, on the 10th. But if you want to fulfill the Sunnah, you've got to go, basically, your day will start in Muzdalifah, literally, at Fajr time, or basically from sunrise, you will still be around Muzdalifah yet. And by night time, or basically you'll go from Muzdalifah, you'll pelt the big shaitan, then you'll go back to your hotel perhaps in Azizia, or if you like what Mufti Zaid said, you want to go back to Mina, you can do that as well. You can go back to your tent, but again, you're from your tent now, you're gonna have to go all the way to Makkah. So I don't know, it's something for you to think about. I would just say go to your hotel in Azizia, rest up, wait for confirmation of your Qurbani. If you're doing it yourself, go do it. If you're not, if you've done it with Nusuk, wait for the Nusuk confirmation to come. If that confirmation does not come in time, I'll give you some advice on that on the Telegram group. There's a fatwa of Mustafa Zarqa, which I will share, inshallah. Then after the Qurbani is done, you can get private Qurbani done as well, by the way. Like, you speak to a few people, they can actually, you pay them and they'll send you like a text and everything. You can try that as well, inshallah. And then get your hair cut by any of the barbers. You'll see loads of barbers in Azizia. Even your hotel might have a barber. And then you can start preparing for Tawaf al-Ziyarah, which will now be done. If you want to get the Sunnah done, it should be done on the same day. But Mufti Zaid, I'll let you take over with the slides now, inshallah.
Yeah, so there are some wajib actions on this day, the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. So first thing is a Rami. So that's what Rami is, where you throw the stones at the pillars. So on this 10th of Dhul Hijjah, we're just going to be doing a Rami of just the one pillar 7 times. Another wajib action on this day is sacrifice Qurbani. We'll talk about that just next, inshallah. Halaq, meaning shaving the head or trimming the hair. For women or men can trim the hair as well. And this trimming halaq should be done before the Maghrib, before the sunset of the 12th of Dhul Hijjah. So that's basically a wajib action as well. Another wajib action is doing it in this order, where you're doing Rami, which is pelting the pillar, then Qurbani, and then halaq. Basically, then you're going to shave, trim the hair after Qurbani. So don't do it before Qurbani. It works in this order. So Rami, then you do Qurbani, and then halaq after that. And thereafter, another wajib action is to not delay Rami, the pelting of the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, which was just Jamra Aqaba, the biggest pillar, until the Fajr of the 11th of Dhul Hijjah. So we have all that time to do Rami. And that's wajib to do Rami anyway. So all that time until the Fajr of the 11th of Dhul Hijjah. Then the Rami of the 11th of Dhul Hijjah, which is the following day, you don't delay until the Fajr of the 12th of Dhul Hijjah. And the Rami of the 12th of Dhul Hijjah is not delayed until the Fajr of the 13th of Dhul Hijjah. And if a person remains on that 13th as well, then the pelting of the 13th isn't delayed beyond the sunset of that very day, because that's when Hajj fully ends after. Another wajib action is to sacrifice an animal, such as a sheep or a goat, or even one part out of the 7 parts of a camel or a cow. This is for a mutamatti', someone doing Hajj tamattu', or a qarin, someone doing Hajj qiran. So like we mentioned as well, someone doing Hajj ifrad, there's no sacrifice for them of Hajj, though it's best for them to do it. And finally, the sacrifice of the animal, the Qurbani, should be done during the days of Nahar, the days of Qurbani. That's why they call Ayyamun Nahar, the 10th, 11th, and 12th of Dhul Hijjah. So now we're basically on the Qurbani slide. Just one second. Yeah, so this was the pelting, basically, the wajibat, sorry. The wajibat of Mina. and the Qurbani. So now we're on the Qurbani slide. So we've done the pelting, let's assume. And like we mentioned as well, if someone finds it too difficult or there's a lot of crowds, then you can delay till after Zawal and try to do it before sunset, basically. Maybe after Asr, maybe after Dhahar or something. Um, but the best time is from, like we mentioned, from after sunrise till Zawal time. But anyway, Qurbani now. So whoever's gone for Hajj, obviously, as we said, they have to do their usual Qurbani as well. So just like the rest of the world, all the Muslims around the world, like we mentioned in the previous session as well, they'll do their Qurbani. So imagine someone's not gone for Hajj, they'll do their Qurbani as well, their one Qurbani that they normally do. And that person who's a Muslim, he's sane, he's mature, baligh, he's got nisab amount of money, and he's a muqim, meaning he's not a traveler, then that person will do Qurbani. So if during the days of Hajj as well, we're a muqim, most probably we won't be, but if we are a muqim, then we'll have to do our usual Qurbani that we do every single year. But if we're a traveler, then we don't have to do that Qurbani. But yes, our Qurbani will be the Qurbani of Hajj Tamattu or Hajj Qiran, whichever one that we're doing. So we'll basically be doing a Qurbani for that. So the best thing is the reason why some people are in the past, especially, they go back to Mina after pelting is because they do Qurbani with their own hands. So obviously, this would be the best if someone can sacrifice their own Qurbani animal with their own hands. But obviously, a lot of crowds and many of us don't know how to do it in the proper manner as well, Islamic manner. And because of this, whoever we've told, they'll basically arrange this for us. They'll give us a phone call, they'll give us a text message, or they'll update us that the Qurbani is done. So all we have to do is we can go back to our hotels in Azizia, or we can still be traveling to Azizia, and then we get the text message saying that, oh yeah, your Qurbani is done. So that's completely fine. So we're not doing Qurbani ourselves, let's say, but we'll basically be on the way to our Azizia hotel, or we'll be back to Mina, most probably Azizia hotel, and we'll basically just stay there, relax, and we'll basically get the confirmation that a Qurbani has been done.
This
Only after the
just Mufsab, this confirmation is only for the dam of the damu shukr of tamattu. The normal qurbani that you do back home or in the UK or in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, or wherever you do your qurbani, that you don't, that's nothing to do with this. That you just get done. Usually so for some youngsters, their dad just does it. You don't wait for any confirmation of that one. This dam that we're talking about, this qurbani is not normal qurbani that people at home are doing. This is the special one that only the Hujjaj who are doing Tamattu or Qiran will be doing. Sorry.
So thereafter, after the confirmation, after we get confirmation that Qurbani has been done, now it's allowed. Now we're permitted to basically shave our head and trim the hair, and no rules of ihram will apply on us except one. And we'll talk about that as well. So Qurbani's been done. So what will we do now? It's best for them to shave the head, but they are allowed to trim the hair. And as we mentioned, they'll trim basically a fingertip amount, an inch, you could say, from a quarter of the head at least. Obviously, they can trim it from the full head, but a quarter from the head, a fingertip amount. As for women, they'll just trim a fingertip amount, an inch from the end of their plaits. And someone who doesn't have hair, someone who's already, obviously, they've done Umrah, they don't have hair, or they've already shaved their head. So now at this moment, symbolically, once again, they'll just pass a razor over the head. So they have to pass a razor over the head. So now, after they've done this, obviously, after the Qurbani has been done, no restrictions of ihram basically apply now. The only thing left, the only restriction that's there still is intercourse, which isn't permitted. And this will only become permissible once the husband and wife, both of them, have performed their tawaf ziyarah, which is the second fard action of Hajj. And basically, we're going to come on to tawaf ziyarah now.
Okay, Mufti Zaid, just before we carry on, some are asking, that what if our hotel is not in Azizia? So if your hotel is in Makkah, it's the same. I mean, it's even better, I would say. That's why non-shifting is probably a bit more expensive, because what's brilliant for you is after you've pelted the big shaitan, you just go to Azizia or go anywhere really, grab a taxi and head straight to Makkah. Get to your hotel in Makkah, freshen up everything there, go to sleep for a little while. By the time you're sleeping, and you're resting, you might get a confirmation about your Qurbani being done. Wake up, read that confirmation message. Brilliant, awesome. Go shave your head somewhere, and you're ready for Tawaf al-Ziyarah, which is right at your doorstep now because you're already in Makkah. So yeah, if your hotel is not in Azizia, if you're non-shifting, you're actually in a better position, I would say, because before the days of Hajj, you can actually pray all your salahs in Masjid al-Haram. And even during the days of Hajj, you just need a taxi. The people in Azizia, after the big shaitan, they'll go to Azizia, their hotel. Again, look, you can go back to your Mina tents. I don't want to act like I'm giving you leeways and stuff, but I just think it's more convenient. It makes sense. You'll get your sunnahs done of doing Tawaf al-Ziyarah on the same day as well, which is what the Prophet ﷺ did. So you can rest in Azizia, your hotel, and then, when it comes to Tawaf al-Ziyarah, you could do your Tawaf al-Ziyarah at like Asr or after Asr or after even Maghrib or even after Isha. Get a taxi, go from Azizia to Makkah if it's suitable for you. By the way, you've done a lot today, so you might think, all right, I'll do Tawaf al-Ziyarah tomorrow now. But then obviously night time, you need to go back to Mina. So we need to spend the night in Mina, as Mufti Zaid is going to come to just now. But we're now looking at Tawaf al-Ziyarah in a bit of detail. So we've now basically, let's understand where we are. We are now out of the state of ihram in the sense that we've cut our hair, we've taken our clothes off. Tawaf al-Ziyarah, by most people, will be done in their absolute normal clothes. So that is why, those restrictions that you can only come into Mataf if you have your ihram clothes on. I guarantee you, about during the days of Hajj, they will switch them off. So you can come into Mataf even in your normal clothes, because everyone's going to be coming for Tawaf al-Ziyarah with their normal clothes. So they're not going to put that restriction. But Mufti Zaid, I'll let you take over again with the slides.
Yeah, so a person obviously isn't going to shave or trim their hair until they've basically got that confirmation. Now, in the past, obviously, the only way of getting that confirmation is if you've seen it yourself or someone comes and tells you. So that's why they would have to go back to Mina, because that's where the Qurbani would happen and that's where someone would tell them. Obviously, now, even if you go back to Mina, the only way you're going to get that confirmation is through a text message. So it'd be completely fine to go to Azizia and basically just rest there for a while. So when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself, when he had his head shaved, then he called a Sahabi called Abu Talha radiyallahu anhu, and he gave half the hair to him. And then he divided the other half of the hair amongst the other Sahaba. And then Hazrat Khalid bin Walid radiyallahu anhu, he asked, or he wanted the portion of the hair from the front of the blessed head of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And so he was given this, and as mentioned by Waqidi in his Maghazi, that he would keep this portion of the forelock of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in his helmet. So whenever he would go in any battle or anything, then he would have this for blessings. Anyway, so that was just something on the side. But now we're moving on to Tawaf Ziyarah. So this is a fard action. If you remember, the first fard action was the Wuquf of Arafah. The second fard action in Hajj, and the final one is Tawaf Ziyarah. So this is basically when a person does, you could just in essence say Tawaf, and then he does Sa'i of Safa Marwa as well. So he's doing another Umrah, you could say, but it's known as Tawaf Ziyarah, and it's also called Tawaf Rukn. It's also called Tawaf Ifada. So this Tawaf, it has many names. It's compulsory. It's a fard action to be done. So this will be done after Qurbani, after trimming the hair.
This is going to be like a Umrah you're going to do in normal clothes. So it's going to be a very unique. It's not called a Umrah, by the way. You're doing Tawaf al-Ziyarah and then the Sa'i of Hajj. But it will look like as though you're doing a Umrah. So you'll do a Tawaf in normal clothes and then you'll do Sa'i in normal clothes, which is very unique. I mean, we don't usually do Sa'i with our normal clothes, but here you will, because that's the Sa'i of Hajj.
So in essence, basically, the reason why we're doing it on normal clothes is because none of the rulings of Ihram apply. Basically, everything, we've come out of the state of Ihram now. The only thing that does apply is intercourse, as we mentioned, until this action, Tawaf Ziyarah, is done. So this Tawaf Ziyarah, it can be done today, the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. It can even be delayed. If someone thinks, do you know what, I'm not going to do it today, there's too many people, I'll do it tomorrow. So you can even do it 11th of Dhul Hijjah after. So on 11th of Dhul Hijjah, we'll be pelting again, but this time we'll pelt all 3 pillars. So you can do Tawaf Ziyarah after pelting all 3 pillars. You can even do it on the 12th. But basically, this needs to be done, this action Tawaf Ziyarah needs to be done before the Maghrib of the 12th of Dhul Hijjah. So we can do it 10th or 11th or the 12th, but make sure we do it before the Maghrib of the 12th of Dhul Hijjah. So to be honest, there's no rush as such. And if we have no time, or we're tired, or whatever it is, after trimming, shaving the head, we can go back to Mina, spend the night in Mina, Then inshallah we'll go through what happens on the 11th and 12th, just in case someone's not done tawaf ziyarah. But most people will probably do it on this 10th of Dhul Hijjah after shaving, trimming the hair. So
just to give
so
context
we'll just act as if
of
this.
the strength of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, as Mufti Zaid will come into it this week, we're going to go into the Hajj of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam itself, right from the start to the end. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam actually finished, Mufti Zaid can correct me, I think he was done with Tawaf al-Ziyarah by, I think, Dhuhr time, right? There's ikhtilaf whether he prayed Dhuhr in Makkah or whether he prayed it in Mina. So he was done by Asr time, definitely he was done with Tawaf al-Ziyarah, but you don't need to push yourself. Obviously, the Prophet ﷺ has strength. He said, I was given the strength of 10 men. So we don't need to go that far. Just to give personal experience, we did Tawaf al-Ziyarah at night. So we went after, I think, after Maghrib on the 10th. And that whole night essentially was spent in getting Tawaf al-Ziyarah done. And then remember, the taxi route is not no traffic. It takes about a good hour to get there because of the traffic. So your whole night could end up going in just getting this done. But in any case, when you get back, do try to get to Mina. Don't just spend your night in the hotel in Azizia or in Makkah hotel. Try to get back to Mina to try to spend that night of the 11th in Mina. Sorry, Mufti Zaid, I'll let you take over again.
Okay, so we'll basically the same way that we did Umrah. So we'll come to the Kaaba and we'll make intention that Allah, I'm performing tawaf around the Kaaba. So make it easy for me, accept it from me as well. And then we'll basically raise our hands, takbir tahrima style, and we'll say Bismillahi Allahu Akbar, and then we'll basically stretch our arms out, and we'll basically do istilam of the Holy Kaaba, just as we mentioned previously, and then we'll basically do the circuits around the Kaaba, the 7 rounds around the Kaaba. So just as it was basically, as we mentioned, we'll do exactly, but the only difference between this tawaf is that there'll be no ittiba for men. So what that means is uncovering the right shoulder. The only way ittiba would happen if men are still wearing their ihram, but otherwise, because they'll be most probably wearing their normal clothes, there'll be no ittiba. So there'll be no uncovering of the right shoulder. And secondly, there will be ramal though. So ramal is to walk in a fast pace, and men will do this, obviously not women. So this ramal that happens in the first 3 rounds, that will basically carry on happening because there will be sa'i after this. So we will be doing Safa Marwa. However, just to mention here as well, if someone did this sa'i of Tawaf Ziyarah earlier, so remember we mentioned that if a person wants to do sa'i of Tawaf Ziyarah earlier, then he can do, but he'll have to come into the state of Ihram, perform a Nafal Tawaf, then do the sa'i, and that sa'i will be the sa'i of Tawaf Ziyarah. So when he does Tawaf Ziyarah now, there will be no sa'i. So basically that could have happened. However, for someone doing Hajj Tamattu, it's best for them to do sa'i now, meaning when he's doing Tawaf Ziyarah. So if someone had already done their sa'i, because there's no sa'i for them, they won't do ittiba, definitely, and they won't do ramal as well, because ramal and ittiba only happens when there's sa'i after it. But whoever has basically got sa'i after it, which will be most people, then they'll basically, obviously there'll be no ittiba because they'll be wearing the normal clothing, but ramal will happen because in the 3 rounds, because there will be sa'i after it. So,
Mufti Zaid, if I can just interrupt. So just to give a summary, when we came into Makkah at the start and we did Umrah for the men, you came in Ihram, right? For the Ihram of Umrah. So you will do ittiba, which means to take out that right arm that you see people doing, where you just look like one of those cavemen, where it's like literally your right arm is popping out and the left arm is still inside the Ihram. You'll be doing that for all 7 rounds. Some people get very confused. After the 3rd round, you see them bringing their right arm inside. No. You keep that out the whole way, all 7. It's just the only thing you do for the first 3 is ramal. And you only do these 2 if you're going to be doing a sa'i after it. So in Umrah, you did it because there was a sa'i. In this Tawaf al-Ziyarah, you would have done ittiba if you had your ihram on, but you don't. You've taken it off. So what are you going to do? Are you going to cut your jabba in half and take out that arm? No, you're not going to be cutting no jabba. And you'll be in your normal clothes, whatever you're wearing, your shirt or jabba, whatever you wear. So you won't be able to do the ittiba, but you will be able to do the ramal. So you'll do the 3, rounds with a bit of a fast speed, but keep your women folk close to you, and obviously think about the queue and the crowd. You might not be able. Tawaf Ziyarah is going to be absolute crazy, so it's going to be very busy. But yeah, sorry, Mufti Zaid.
So obviously we'll do Tawaf Ziyarah as we mentioned previously, and then at the end, after doing Tawaf Ziyarah, the 7 rounds around the Holy Kaaba, then after on the 7th one, once we finished basically, we'll do the final Istilam. Thereafter we'll perform a 2 rak'at wajib, of tawaf. So every tawaf that we do, we'll have to perform 2 rak'at wajib. We don't have to perform it straight away, but we'll try to perform it straight away because we just want to go in order. So imagine we've just performed a 2 rak'at of tawaf. Thereafter, we'll go to the Zamzam containers and we'll drink Zamzam, just like what we did um, in Umrah, basically. Essentially, it's the same thing. So we'll just do the same thing as well. Just remember the virtues of Zamzam as well, that in the book as well, it's called Fadlu Ma'i Zamzam. So there's many virtues of Zamzam, and they've been derived as well from a hadith. So just some of the virtues we can just mention, that it was this water, meaning the water of Zamzam, which brought Makkah into existence. So Makkah came into existence because of the blessing or the power of this water, you could say. This water of Zamzam, it replenishes the body, gives it strength. It's one of the best ways to be hospitable. So if you want to give someone a gift, the best thing to give them is Zamzam. And the final thing is, it was mentioned in the earlier scriptures that whoever pours a handful of it over their head, then that person will never see disgrace and humiliation. So anyway, there's many virtues of the water of Zamzam. So drink it, make dua as well before drinking the water of Zamzam. Inshallah, those duas will be accepted as well. Thereafter, obviously, as we said, tawaf ziyarah is tawaf, and you'll have to perform sa'i as well. If you hadn't performed it already, most of us would have performed it already. So the sa'i of Safa and Marwa, and this is wajib as well. So this can be done just like tawaf till the sunset of the 12th of Dhul Hijjah. And when we're doing sa'i, just like normal, so we'll go to Safa, we'll make a little bit of dua, then we'll climb down and we'll head towards Marwa. So that will be 1 round. Marwa to Safa is another round. Safa to Marwa is the 3rd round. So like this, we'll carry on. And when we're thinking of, or when we're doing sa'i of Safa and Marwa, we'll be thinking, or we'll be fearing, we'll be scared that we're basically on the 2 sides of the scale. We're on the side which is tipping towards the good, which is weighing heavy, and then there's the bad side which is weighing heavy as well. So we're basically on both sides of the scale, a little bit on this side, then it's going towards this side. So we're in this scared manner, we're going between Safa and Marwa, but we're hoping that inshallah Allah Ta'ala will destine that we go to paradise after this sa'i of Safa and Marwa. Then that's basically tawaf and sa'i done. We'll perform a mustahab 2 rak'at of after sa'i, and thereafter basically our tawaf ziyarah is done. So in essence, our Hajj is basically the 2 fard actions are complete. And now it's just the wajib actions left of pelting the next two days or so. So after tawaf ziyarah, you can go back to Azizia or whatever, but it's mustahab or it's sunnah. It's sunnah to spend the night back in Mina. So as soon as you're done tawaf ziyarah and it's night time, let's say, then head straight back to Mina, spend the night in Mina, and not spend the night in your hotels, because it's sunnah to spend the night now in Mina, basically. So go back to your tents in Mina.
The only exception that our scholars make is if you spent the night doing tawaf ziyarah, you can't be in 2 places at once. So what if you decided we're going to go for tawaf ziyarah at night, literally at 12 o'clock at night, we're going to try to do tawaf ziyarah, then your whole night is going to go in Makkah, in which case you are excused. You do not need to spend the night in Mina because you're in Makkah. You can't be in 2 places at once. So, that is an exception.
And let's just assume if a woman is menstruating, so obviously she's not allowed to do many things like fasting and praying namaz and all that. So along with this as well, she can't perform tawaf because that's in Masjidul Haram, and she can't enter any masjid. So what she will do is, obviously, if people have gone or people don't want to go tawaf because they want to just stay with her and maybe do it together later, but if people have gone, that's completely fine. But she won't, basically, she can go to Azizia, that's completely fine as well, and stay there in her hotel, but she can't go to Masjidul Haram. So what will she do? She'll just wait until she's pure. Once that happens, if it happens on the 10th, that's brilliant. If it happens on the 11th, then 11th she can perform a tawaf ziyarah. If it happens on the 12th, then she can perform tawaf ziyarah. And like we said, you're not allowed to delay tawaf ziyarah beyond the Maghrib of 12th. Otherwise, a dam will be necessary. However, a woman that was menstruating and she becomes clean after, let's say, the 12th of Dhul Hijjah, for her, she will perform tawaf ziyarah whenever she becomes clean, basically, without any penalty. So this penalty that I'm talking about, a dam, if you delay beyond the 12th, beyond the Maghrib of the 12th, that's for someone that didn't have a valid excuse. As for a woman who's menstruating or nifas, that woman basically, she's got a valid excuse. So she can delay without any penalty whatsoever. Thereafter, so we've reached Mina, let's say, and we've spent the night in Mina, the Sunnah, and now we'll basically perform Fajr in Mina as well. And now on this 11th of Dhul Hijjah, we've just got 11th left, and then we've got 12th left. 13th is that extra day, which most probably we won't be doing. So 11th and 12th. And to be honest, they're both the same. So we'll try to get through this very quickly. So we've done Tawaf Ziyarah, let's imagine. And whoever hasn't done it on the 10th, we'll just explain that as well, inshallah, on this slide. So most of us would have done Tawaf Ziyarah, and we've spent the night in Mina. So Fajr will basically be performing in Mina. And then we need to do one action, which is known as Rami, on the 11th of Dhul Hijjah. So this is the day after Eid. So we need to do Rami, which is pelting the pillars. The previous day, the 10th, the busiest day, we only pelted one pillar, the biggest pillar. But on this day, the 11th of Dhul Hijjah, we'll be pelting all 3 pillars. So 7 stones per pillar. So 7, 14, 21. So we'll be using 21 stones, let's say on this 11th of Dhul Hijjah. So the weight or the time that you need to pelt on this day is after Dhahar, after Zawal. You're not allowed to pelt on this day, 11th of Dhul Hijjah, before Zawal. It cannot be done unless if a person does it, then dam will be necessary. A penalty will be necessary. So you can only pelt on this day after Zawal. If you remember, on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, it was after sunrise till Zawal. That was the best time. Then after Zawal was the permissible time. But on this day, on the 11th of Dhul Hijjah, you can't pelt before. You have to pelt after Zawal. So eventually, anyway, so Zawal has happened, and then we pelt. Now you don't have to pelt as soon as Zawal happens. You can even think after I've performed my Dhahar, we'll go when it gets quieter. After Asr tends to be quieter. So you might want to go then, after Asr maybe. But whatever it is, after Zawal, it needs to be after Dhahar time. And basically we'll go.
We used to usually prefer to go after Asr. After Asr was pretty quiet. So after Asr is quite good. But you've got until to get it done, to be honest.
Then we'll basically go to the first pillar, the one we avoided the first time. We just skipped the first 2. But we'll go to the first pillar this time, and we'll do the same thing. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, and we'll throw it with our right hand. And we'll basically individual, so 1 stone at a time. And we'll basically do it in that manner. So the first one will basically, it's Mufti Muhammad, I think he's just trying to show us.
Can you see the screen what's up?
Yeah, we can see. We can see.
Today now on the 11th, after Zawal, basically you're going to do all 3. Mufti Zaid, you can carry on speaking if this helps.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, so the small jamra, as you can see on the screen, will basically pelt it with 7 pebbles, 7 stones. But then the rule is after every pelting, if there's another pelting, then we'll stand on the side and we'll make dua. So obviously yesterday there was no other pelting, so there's no dua. Today, after pelting the small jamra, where the mouse you can see where it is. So basically that small, once we've pelted that pillar, then we'll stand on the side somewhere where we're not obstructing anyone, away from the crowd, and we'll stand and we'll make dua. Then we'll go to the second jamra after we made a short dua. So we'll go to the second jamra and we'll do the same thing with 7 stones, 7 pebbles. And then after this, there is another pelting, the third one. So we'll stand on the side and we'll basically make a dua, some duas, short amount. And then from there, we'll go to the final pillar, which is the pillar that we pelted yesterday. And we'll pelt that with 7 pebbles, 7 stones. But because there's no pelting after this, meaning today, it's done now. That's the final one. So we won't stand on the side to make dua. We'll just leave after that final pelting. So that's basically Rami done on this 11th of Dhul Hijjah. And we have all the way till sunset to do Rami on this day. And if a person wants, or because of large crowds especially, you can delay this all the way till Fajr. So you've got all the way till Fajr to pelt, because there definitely will be large crowds. And we'll go back to our tent, we'll engage in our own worship, and we'll basically, you can even talk to people, you can spread salam, you can strengthen ties of brotherhood, speak to people, whatever you want to do. And on this 11th of Dhul Hijjah, as we mentioned, there will be 3 khutbahs that the Imam will do. So on the 11th of Dhul Hijjah as well, that's the final one that the Imam will do, or after Dhahar Salah on this 11th of Dhul Hijjah. So that's basically 11th of Dhul Hijjah in a nutshell. Thereafter, moving on to the 12th of... Yeah. Finally, just the 12th of Dhul Hijjah now. So 12th of Dhul Hijjah is the same as the 11th of Dhul Hijjah. So again, Fajr, the night we'll have spent in Mina. Fajr, we would have performed in Mina. Dhahar, so again, we can leave we can leave for Mina and then make sure we don't pelt till after Zawal. You can only pelt the pillars on the 11th and 12th after Dhuhr time, basically. So we can be heading out before Dhuhr, but we can't pelt until Dhuhr. But to be honest, it'll be the busiest time. And remember, on the 12th of the Hijjah, it'll be extremely busy because the moment you pelt is the moment you can then return home and that's your Hajj done. So again, you might not want to go straight after Zawal or before Zawal and then pelt after Zawal, obviously. You might want to go after Asr because they'll be quiet at that time. But anyway, so after Zawal, you can pelt on this day. And same manner. So we'll get to the first pillar and we'll pelt it with 7 pillars, saying Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, and Sunnah to throw with the right hand. And we don't have to hit the pillar as long as it goes in the boundary. It's completely fine. And we'll basically do that with 7. We'll stand on the side, make dua. After this, we'll go to the second one. Same thing, we'll stand on the side and make dua. And then the final one, we'll pelt it with 7 pebbles, 7 stones, but we won't stand on the side. We won't make dua. And then we'll head out and we can go back to our hotels in Azizi after that. Our Hajj is basically complete. And yes, it's more virtuous to go back to Mina and stay for the 13th of Dhul Hijjah as well, an extra day, which is what Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did. But most people will return back because Hajj is basically done.
From my group, I can't remember anyone staying for the 13th. And I know everyone's probably thinking, I'm going to do it. But it honestly, think of the people around you also, and you will get fatigued quite a bit. And I'm pretty sure most of you would probably come back on the 12th, even though you had the intention. But if you do manage to do it, that's mashallah, fantastic. But don't feel stressed if your tour guide actually advises you not to stay because he's doing it out of your own care.
Inshallah, we'll just try to end it in the next 2-3 minutes, inshallah. So yeah, so just in case someone does want to stay for the 13th of Dhul Hijjah, so obviously after the pelting on the 12th, they'll return back to Mina. They'll spend the night there as well. And they'll basically do Fajr in Mina on this 13th of Dhul Hijjah. So now it's the final day, no matter what. If you want to stay an extra day, you're not going to be able to. So this is the final night. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam stayed this 13th of Dhul Hijjah as well. We performed Fajr in Mina. And on this basically 13th of Dhul Hijjah, basically, the only action that needs to be done again is just pelting the 3 pillars. But because this is an extra day, the pelting can be done from Fajr time till Zawal time. So as we mentioned in the 11th and the 12th, you weren't allowed to pelt before Zawal, but because this is an extra day, it's like an optional day, 13th. So being lenient on these people, it's actually permissible to pelt before Zawal as well, even though it's still mustahab and recommended to pelt after Zawal and it's more rewarding. But if a person wants to on this 13th of Dhul Hijjah only to pelt before Zawal, then it's fine for them. And that's basically as soon as they pelted, they can go and they've basically their Hajj is completely done. But that's if someone stays for the 13th of Dhul Hijjah. And that's it basically. Hajj is complete. We basically, after completing Hajj, whether it was on the 12th, whether it was on the 13th, we'll praise Allah Ta'ala for granting us the ability to perform Hajj, for granting us the strength and the ability. And after the days of Hajj, obviously, before we're returning back home or before we go to Medina, if we are going to Medina, we just need to do one more thing, which is known as Tawaf Wada. So Tawaf Wada just means the farewell, a farewell Tawaf. And this Tawaf is for those who aren't from Mecca and they're not from Hill. So in other words, they're not from Haram, they're not from Hill area. So that means they're from outside the miqat area. So for most of us, we'll be outside the miqat. We're from other countries. For an afaqi, they call them. So for us, basically, we'll have to perform this tawaf wada. And if we can't leave without performing this tawaf wada, which is wajib. The only person that can leave without performing this tawaf wada is a woman who's menstruating. A woman who's menstruating, she can leave without performing tawaf wada because of a valid excuse. But for us, for men anyway, they can't leave without performing tawaf wada. It's just a tawaf. And to be honest, any tawaf you do after Hajj is going to be tawaf wada. So any tawaf, you're just going around 7 times around the Kaaba with the intention of doing tawaf. That's your tawaf wada. There's no sa'i, there's no ramal, there's no ittiba, nothing.
Wada literally means goodbye. So this is your goodbye tawaf before you leave. Whether you're going to Medina, whether you're going back home, it is going to be a very busy tawaf because everyone's going to be wanting to do it just before they go home, or they'll be doing it in those final few days. But it's an emotional tawaf. It's your final tawaf of Hajj. Before whether you go back to Medina or whether you're going back home, it's going to be your final tawaf and it's wajib.
And then to be honest, this should have been mentioned as well, that after a person's done the Hajj, then it's basically there's a valley between Makkah and Mina. So from Mina, you're going back to Makkah anyway. So there's a valley there. It's called Wadi Muhassab. And this valley, basically, Nabi Sallallahu Alayhi Wasallam, he went here. So they say it's sunnah to come here after basically performing Hajj. And Nabi Sallallahu Alayhi Wasallam, he performed the Dhahar, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha here as well. Others say he performed Dhahar and Asr here, but it's sunnah, where the sunnah will be fulfilled if a person even spends a single moment here. And it's basically a rewarding action. And thereafter, just one more mas'ala is just the mas'ala of a woman, basically, that she she had her intention, as we mentioned previously, that a woman will, with Hajj Qiran, Hajj Tamattu, she needed to perform an Umrah, and then the days of Hajj would come and she'd perform Hajj. But as we mentioned, imagine a woman came and she had to perform Umrah, but she was menstruating and she couldn't perform that Umrah. And then the days of Hajj came. So what did we say? We said she'd have to cancel that Ihram for Umrah, and she'd have to now make intention and recite the Talbiyah for Hajj. And then she'd come into the state of Ihram for Hajj, and then she'd basically then perform her Hajj. But then she'll have to give a dam for cancelling her Ihram for Umrah, and then she'll have to do Qada of her Umrah again. So this literally happened to Aisha radiallahu anha, where she came with Nabi Sallallahu Alayhi Wasallam to perform Hajj Tamattu. However, she was menstruating on the 3rd of Dhul Hijjah before arriving in Makkah. They arrived in Makkah. She was still in her menstruation. She couldn't perform her Umrah. So Nabi Sallallahu Alayhi Wasallam told her, come out of that state, come into the state of Ihram for Hajj. She performed her Hajj fully. And then after completing Hajj, she was sad. So Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said on the night of the 13th of Dhul Hijjah that go with Abdul Rahman, your brother, and go to Tan'im, where Masjid Aisha is, basically, it's named after this, and basically make intention for Umrah, coming to the state of Umrah. Dam was given on her behalf as well. And Aisha radiallahu anha made up for that Umrah. So inshallah, we'll leave it till there. I've got to leave just now for namaz. So
Yeah, no worries, Mufti Zaid. Inshallah, I'll if you need to leave, I'll just do a quick recap of everything very quickly. And inshallah, just to remind everyone that our lessons do carry on tomorrow. Now's the fun bit, inshallah. That was the most, like, you could say, I don't want to say boring and stuff for Allah, but like that was just like the strict rules and stuff. There's no spirituality in that. We want to learn, why did we do all this? Why did we have to walk here? Why did we have to take a bus all the way to Arafat and just spend the day there and then go to, what's going on? What is all this, man? What's going on? Why are we doing all this? Right? So this is now the more important part for me, which is, why are we doing all this? What's the purpose? What are the virtues? Who did this? And how did Nabi Sallallahu do it? And why did he do it? And what did he teach us? And what's the deeper message behind all of this? That's what's coming, inshallah, in the next 4 days. And please stay tuned, if I can say that, for these next few days, because I know it might not be rulings, but this is the spiritual stuff. And if you're here for your Hajj to be a Hajj for the sake of Allah, you'll stay, inshallah, for the next 4 days, wherein we will now be going through the Hajj of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We'll do all the rulings, obviously, as we go through the Hajj of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, but we'll recount some stories, some places he stopped, some advice he gave, what were some of the sermons that he gave, and what did he, who was the first prophet to do Hajj, and where did they stop, and we'll be discussing all of that. But just very briefly, on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, like I said, from the night, for those of you who are already in Azizia, you'll already be here somewhere. You'll already be near this area, which is the Azizia area, as you can see. From the night time, they will take you to your tents in Mina. You will basically make a Google, you'll make a live location, you'll save it, so you know exactly where your tent is in case you need to come back to it at any point in your journey. You'll stay there the whole day. Then after sunrise, you will go on the bus, or you could walk it, but it's a long walk. You could go to the bus, inshallah, after sunrise. This is now the 9th. You'll be in Arafat the whole day. After Maghrib, you will start jumping on the bus again, which will take you to Muzdalifah. This is now the 10th night. The 10th day is yet to come. The 10th day is going to be the busiest day. You'll spend the night in Muzdalifah, the night of the 10th. And from Fajr till just before sunrise is the most important time to make loads of du'as. In Arafat as well, most important to make du'a all day. Then just before sunrise, you'll make loads of du'as, and then you'll start heading off. If you're going to take the bus, it'll drop you off to Mina, and then you're going to walk it to the big pillar. You'll walk it directly to the big pillar right there, which will be a 2-hour walk. It will get a bit hot. There'll be some tunnels and stuff, but it's a lovely walk. in the sense that, inshallah, you'll have loads of spray bottles, there'll be people spraying on you, enjoy it. There'll be policemen spraying on the Hujjaj as well. And, they'll all be reading, they'll all be telling you Eid Mubarak, and everything is really nice, as you're walking past. And you'll get to the big pillar here, the big shaitan. You'll walk past these two, you won't even pelt them. You'll go straight to the big one, pelt it, come down this ramp here. You'll go straight to your hotel. This is called the Sidqi Street. This is going to become a very famous street. I promise you, after Hajj, you'll all know this street, Sidqi Street. You'll go to Aziziyah. You'll go back to your hotel. You'll rest for a little while. This is now the day of Eid. You will now wait for your Qurbani confirmation. Once your Qurbani confirmation is done, you will basically get your hair shaved. If you're from Makkah, by the way, you'll take a taxi straight from here somewhere, go straight to your hotel. Wait for your confirmation either in Aziziyah or Makkah, depending on whether you've got shifting or non-shifting. You will now then get your hair shaved. Then you will decide when you want to do Tawaf Ziyarah. If you want to do it that day, if you've got the strength, go for it. Bismillah, take a taxi. If you're in Aziziyah, taxi fares will be very high for the 5 days. Get ready for it. Pay, don't stress. It'll be like a 1-hour trip to Masjid al-Haram, 1-hour trip back. Once you finish with Tawaf Ziyarah, you'll do the Sa'i of Hajj as well. Then you'll go back to Mina. You'll try to spend the night in Mina. If you've got a bit of night left, get to Mina as soon as possible. If you've missed it because you were too busy in Makkah doing Tawaf Ziyarah, don't stress. Now you just get back to Mina, spend the day of the night of 11th if you could in Mina, spend the day of 11th in Mina. Obviously after Zawal, head to the pillars again. You're going to walk. These are going to be the walking days, 10, 11, 12. You're going to really be walking loads. There's not going to be any bus that will take you all the way from your tent till the Jamarat, because everyone would want to jump on that bus and everyone will be walking, except in rare situations. So you will now pelt all three on this day, small, medium, then big, and you'll probably go all the way around again and head to Mina again. You will do the same for the 12th. 12th will be a bit of a busier day, because as soon as you've done it after Dhuhr on the 12th, you're free to go back to your hotel, whether it's in Aziziyah and Makkah and Hajj is finished. I would recommend that you go on after Asr, get it done, small, medium, large on the 12th. After that, you can either head back to Mina if you want to do the 13th, or you could just go back to your hotel and Hajj is finished. And that's the summary of Hajj. Inshallah ta'ala, if there's any questions. Is al-bayk halal? I don't know. To be honest with you, inshallah ta'ala, you can ask the people there. So looking forward to it. Allah ta'ala grant everyone a Hajj, accepted Hajj, inshallah. Isha time is around the corner, so inshallah we'll end it there. And tomorrow we will now start the Hajj of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the virtues, wisdom, and you'll hear less of me and more of Mufti Zaid, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.